In the previous video, I introduced the process of debuting as a novelist. Haruki Murakami begins to feel the limits of his dual role of running a jazz cafe and writing. I ran a jazz cafe, and I myself went inside the counter every day to make cocktails and food, closed the store at midnight, and came home to face the kitchen table and write manuscripts until I fell asleep, a lifestyle I continued for almost 3 years. I felt as if I was living a life that was twice as busy as most people's. Gradually, my desire to write a larger novel with more solid content became stronger and stronger. After much deliberation, I decided to close the cafe for a while and devote myself to writing novels for a certain period of time. At that point, my income from the cafe was greater than my income as a novelist, but I had no choice but to give up on that. Anyway, I want you to let me be free for 2 years. If that doesn't work, why don't you open a small store somewhere else? We're still young, and we can start over, I told my wife. Okay, she said. Then he gave up the jazz cafe he had been running for 7 years and moved to the city of Kitanarashino, Funabashi, Chiba Prefecture. Leaving the city behind, I began to live a life of early to bed and early to rise, and I began to run daily to maintain my physical strength. I took the plunge and completely changed my life from the ground up. Then, he wrote a longer, full-length novel, A Wild Sheep Chase. When I finished this novel, I felt that I had created my own novel style. I also felt that I would be able to continue to write as a novelist. In my opinion, this was my real starting point as a novelist. He also published his early masterpiece, Hard-Boiled Wonderland, and The End of the World, which established him as a writer. After this work, Haruki Murakami began to write more and more abroad. I wanted to escape as far away from the situation of Japan as possible. In other words, I wanted to get as far away from the spell of the Japanese language as possible, thinking that I would be able to write something closer to who I am. He also wrote, I had come to realize that I was approaching one of the most important times of my life. And I felt that if I didn't do what I could only do in this difficult time, I would regret it later. That's why I ended up leaving Japan. I began writing Norwegian Wood in Mykonos, Greece, at the end of 1986, and finished it in Rome, in the spring of the following year. This work became an unprecedented bestseller, and Haruki Murakami's name became widely known in Japan. However, it seems that he suffered a lot from this. When Norwegian Wood became a big bestseller and the world was in an uproar, it was quite difficult for me too. For a while, I was really sick of it. I was so sick of it that I didn't want to live. And I couldn't write any more novels for a while. Even after that, it seems that he was the target of considerable criticism. When I first published The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, the criticism was quite severe in Japan. Before that, Norwegian Wood had sold very well, and the backlash after that was very strong. There were people who wanted to reject everything I wrote. At the time, I was just shrugging my shoulders, keeping my mouth shut, and trying to get through it all. Haruki Murakami's writing style changed as he published one feature after another. In Norwegian Wood and South of the Border, West of the Sun, the depiction of sexuality became a topic of conversation. And in The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle and Kafka on the Shore, the depiction of violence drew attention. As my stories got bigger and deeper, I couldn't help but bring in depictions of sex and violence. I don't think of sex only as a spiritual thing. Rather, I see it as a passage that connects the physical and the spiritual. Gradually, Haruki Murakami began to focus on foreign readers. If I stay in Japan, where the economy is booming, as the best-selling author of Norwegian Wood, I will get a lot of job offers, and it is not difficult to earn a high income if I want to. But for me, I wanted to leave that environment and see how well I could do in the market outside of Japan. As a newcomer, as a mostly unknown novelist, this has become my personal theme and goal. And gradually, he started to increase his readership outside of Japan. I'm very happy to see that my work has recently been accepted quite widely in various countries around the world. In the Japanese literary world, there is a strict Japanese standard, and I have never been able to fit in very well, so it's quite a relief to be able to go abroad like this. A few years before 1Q84 was published, his father, who had almost insulated him, passed away. I hadn't seen him for more than 20 years, and unless there was a serious need, I hardly spoke to him or kept in touch with him. It was just before he passed away that I finally had a face-to-face talk with him. My father and I had an awkward conversation and made a kind of reconciliation. He passed away at the age of 90 in a hospital in Nishijin, Kyoto, due to cancer that had spread to many places and severe diabetes. In recent years, he has been mentioned as a candidate for the Nobel Prize every year. A reader said to him, "You won Franz Kafka Award, and there is a lot of talk about you winning the Nobel Prize." The most important thing for a writer is the work itself, and a literary prize is just a phenomenon that comes after. I don't think literary prizes are really that meaningful. My honest opinion is that I would rather value something intangible than something tangible. Where do you think Haruki Murakami will go from here? For me, the issue of the future is evil. I want to write about the form and nature of evil from various angles. I think it's time for us to rethink what evil and violence mean to human beings. It is a very serious issue. Another goal that Haruki Murakami often talks about is the comprehensive novel. As a novelist, what I would like to write in the end is a comprehensive novel. It is quite difficult to define a comprehensive novel, but to be more specific, Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov is one achievement of a comprehensive novel. A variety of characters appear, each bringing their own stories to the table, and these stories intertwine in complex ways to generate heat and create new value. That is my idea of a comprehensive novel. He also says the following: Dostoevsky is my idol and my ideal. He wrote his masterpiece, The Brothers Karamazov, when he was nearly 60 years old. I would like to be like him. I hope that Haruki Murakami will continue to produce many masterpieces while maintaining his health. Finally, I would like to introduce these words by Haruki Murakami. If there were an epitaph for me, and I could choose the phrase, I would like it to be inscribed like this: Haruki Murakami, writer and runner. From 1949 to. At least he didn't walk to the end.